Chapter 12, Lesson 4, the volume of pyramids, cones, and spheres. All right, so the first thing we're going to look at is the volume of a pyramid. So remember, a pyramid has a base and a point up at the top, and so everything goes up to that top. We can have a triangular pyramid with a triangular base. We can have a rectangular pyramid. But our pyramid, the way that we find the volume of it is we think about, what if there was a prism on top of here and it had the same height? Well, the volume of that prism is we take the area of the base times the height. The volume of a pyramid, of a prism that has the same base and the same height, is 1/3 of it. So we do 1/3 base times height. Remember, that big B stands for the area of the base. And then our H is obviously our height. So another way we can think about that, remember, multiplying by 1/3 is the same as if we do the area of the base times the height and divide it by 3. It's the same thing. Remember, units are always going to be in cubic units. All right, the volume of a cone has a very similar relationship as a pyramid does with a prism. The volume of a cone, remember, a cone comes up to a point and comes back down. If we put a cylinder on top of that has the same height, then the volume of the cylinder is the area of the base times the height, and the cone is then 1/3 of that, or we take it and divide it by 3. Another way that sometimes we see that written is that volume is 1/3 pi r squared times the height, because remember, this is how we find the area of the base of that circle. All right, and then the volume of a sphere. This one is a little bit new and different. So when we think about a sphere, right, a sphere is like a ball. A lot of times we see it drawn like this to kind of show that 3D. The sphere still has the very center of it. It has the radius that goes out to anywhere around it. And the volume of a sphere is interesting because if we think about a cylinder that goes around that sphere, the volume of that sphere is 2/3 of the volume of that cylinder. So the cylinder, remember, is base times height, but we only want 2/3 of it. So the volume is 2/3 pi r squared height. But now another way we can simplify this is if we have a sphere, the height of the cylinder that would go around it is going to be the radius times 2, because the sphere is a perfect circle, so the radius goes in all directions. So we can replace this height with 2 times the radius, which makes our volume 2/3 pi r squared times 2r. And then to simplify that, we can multiply the 2 and the 2/3, which gives us 4/3, and then times pi. And then we can also combine r squared times r, which gives us r cubed. So our final volume formula for a sphere is that the volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed. All right, let's look at a couple examples. So volume of a cone, we're going to do volume equals 1/3 pi r squared height. Remember, we're going to basically take that volume formula of a cone and divide it by thirds. So we're going to take 1/3 times 3.14 times the radius, 4.3 squared, times the height, which is 11. We can do that all in our calculator at one time, and we can get 212, if we round to the nearest tenth, 0.9 meters cubed, because it's volume. All right, now we have a pyramid. So to find the volume, we're going to do 1/3 the area of the base times the height. So we're going to do 1/3 times, to find the area of this base, we do 9 times 9, times the height, which is 3. So we're going to do 9 times 9 times 3 and divide it by 3, so we don't really need to multiply that 3, and we get 81 inches cubed.